I'm not going to go as far as saying that what I saw last night was the most entertaining match that I watched in 2025 because we had so many great ones. Of course, Sinner Alcaraz, Roland Garros. You can't really top that. But for sure, I can say that what I saw last night from Venus was the most inspirational thing that I've seen in 2025. See, over the last few years, I noticed a bit of ageism in the comment sections when older players are still competing on tour. There are so many negative comments. People telling these players to retire. And even Novak Djokovic, who made 3 Grand Slam semifinals this year, is getting a lot of this. Now, in today's video, I'm not going to get into how players should retire because it obviously depends on the player, individual circumstances, and we'll save that topic for another video. But on top of ageism, there's been a hot debate online about wild cards. And every time Venus Williams has received a wild card over the last 2 years or so, there's been outrage on social media. And I'm not exaggerating. You go to any post prior to Venus's first round of Washington, and you're going to see tons of comments saying how unfair it is that Venus Williams got a wild card for this tournament. And this is so incomprehensible because nobody is deserving of a wild card. And in my opinion, it's actually not that beneficial for a junior, an up-and-coming player to get a wild card because they're most likely going to get blown out in the first round if there's too much of a level discrepancy. So it's better for upcoming players to work their way into a tournament like that through the ITF tours or the ATP Challenger Tour. Of course, you're going to find some circumstances like Goran winning Wimbledon with a wild card. So of course the wild card can help some players, but generally speaking, I think it's better off if players win matches to make it to a big tournament like that. And on top of that, the tournament can hand out the wild card to whoever they please because the tournament needs to sell tickets and they want to see full stadiums. And if you take a look at this picture right here, this is a picture that shows the men's match that was happening while Venus was playing doubles, and it featured pretty empty stands. And in Venus Williams' first round doubles match, the stands were absolutely packed. So now you have your answer if you're wondering why Venus received the wild card. Well, she received one because she's one of the greatest players of all time, and she's going to sell tickets and fill the stands. Now, let's talk about Venus's first round match against Peyton Stearns. And I thought that this was a good draw for Venus because Peyton has been struggling since the tournament in Rome. She lost in the first round of Roland Garros to Lise. I'm going to say her name the Ukrainian way because some people were complaining that I was saying Eva Luz, which is what we say in Germany. But to be respectful to the Ukrainians, I'm going to say Eva Lise. So she beat Peyton Stearns very easily, Roland Garros first round. But prior to that tournament, Peyton Stearns had beaten Kalinskaya, Keys, Osaka, and Svitolina in super entertaining, tough 3-set matches to make it into the semifinals of Rome. And prior to that week, she reached the 4th round of Madrid, where she beat Anisimova in the 2nd round. So Peyton Stearns was on absolute fire. And for whatever reason, she lost her form. And not only did she lose in the first round of Roland Garros, she also lost in the first round of Wimbledon, and all in straight sets. She had only won one match in Eastbourne between Rome and yesterday's match. So I actually thought that this was a good draw for Venus, even though Peyton Stearns is ranked in the top 40 because she's low on confidence. But I had my doubts whether Venus was going to be able to win this match. It's only because she is 45 years old. And in so many conversations that I have privately, I often say that once you pass the age of 40, it becomes very difficult, if not impossible, to compete at the absolute elite level. And I'm only speaking from what I've been observing throughout all these years. The best example that I can give you of someone who was able to play incredibly well into his late 30s and his early 40s was Jimmy Connors. Now, I'm sure you all remember the famous 1991 semifinal run of Jimmy Connors at the US Open where he was 39 years old. But some of you might not remember that Jimmy Connors played until 1995, until he was 44 years old. And in 1995, he reached the quarterfinals of the Halle tournament. And he took out some good players. For example, in the second round, he beat Martin Zinner, highest ranking of 42. He was ranked top 50 at the time. So Jimmy Connors, at the age of 43, made a quarterfinal of an ATP tournament. And by the way, that's how you say Sinner in German. You say Zinner. So this leads me to believe that you actually say Yannick Sinner and not Sinner. But let's not get into pronunciation. We already talked about that during Wimbledon, and I am going to keep saying Sinner, don't worry. So Jimmy Connors, in my opinion, was at the top of my list of someone who was able to compete at that level into his 40s. But I don't recall anyone being able to do it at 45. So for those reasons, I gave Venus very few chances to win this match, simply because the decline in physical abilities is there at 45. There's no doubt about it. What I saw from Venus in some of her previous matches, especially last year, I could see that physically she was having problems, especially with the movement, while she still had some of her weapons, of course, the big serve and the big ground strokes, but she simply wasn't moving that well. Now, I will say, though, that in 2023, Venus Williams was playing quite well. I do remember her taking out Kudermetova, a former top 10 player. The decline was there in 2024, and for that reason, when I see Venus Williams take a wild card, I give her very low chances. But I was so impressed with her performance yesterday, not only because she won the match. She beat Peyton Stearns 3-4. She could have wrapped it up 3-3. Stearns was serving at 5-3 down, and Venus had several match points. Venus was fighting hard to win that game, and she ended up losing that game. She was serving for the match at 5-4, and she went down love 30, and I was worried that if Venus gets broken, this match gets extended. The advantage was going to be there for Stearns, but Venus down love 30 in that 5-4 game in the second set, hits an incredible open stance backhand cross court, makes the score 15-30, then serves an ace, and just plays so clutch in the next couple of points and wins this match 3-4. An incredible performance from Venus Williams. And the thing that's so inspiring is that Venus's movement was incredible in this match. I didn't see the problems in movement that I saw a year prior in yesterday's match. And this leads me to believe that Venus did a tremendous amount of work to get herself in shape to play this tournament. And she even said in the post-match interview that she prepared a lot for this match. So to be able to do this at 45 years of age, to be able to beat a young top 40 player, an up-and-comer in the game who has physical attributes that are far above Venus's because of her age. She was still able to hang in there, move well. And I think the big advantage for Venus is that she still can deliver a lot of heat on the serve. She had 9 aces yesterday. And if she can move like this, her ground strokes are going to be more consistent. She's going to be able to play better defense. And if she continues to serve well, Venus could win her next round as well against Magdalena Frech.